Hello, cohort 5 of Teach for Uganda. Congratulations, first of all. I've had such an incredible, pleasure of meeting many of the cohorts that have come before you and have just been amazed by them as people, by the decisions they've made, given all the opportunities ahead to put their energy into this work, by the challenges they've taken on, the impact they've had in their communities and schools and in the lives of their kids, what they've learned along the way, and what the 2-year teaching commitment ended up inspiring them to do as alumni. And I've heard from Kasaga that you all are every bit as inspiring and maybe even more so as the cohorts I've met before. So I look forward to one day meeting you all. And in the meantime, it's such an honor to be asked to share my thoughts. Kasaga asked me to share a bit about my journey in this and some words of wisdom for you all for what they're worth. So you may know I got started in this over 30 years ago now, when I was a college student in the US, very fixated on the inequities in my own country, and also just really searching for what I could do that would make a real difference. I was convinced that I was one of thousands of people in my generation who were really searching for a chance to take on those inequities. And one day just thought of this idea. At the time, all the recruiters on my campus were investment banks and management consulting firms, just banging down our doors saying, commit just 2 years to work in our firms. And I thought, why aren't we being recruited to commit just 2 years to teach in urban and rural communities? And I became very possessed by the impact that could have in the lives of kids and communities, and also the impact it could have in shaping a generation of our country's leaders by having their first 2 years be teaching in low-income communities instead of, working at banks. So that was the original idea. And it was just one of these ideas that was very quickly just far beyond me. It really magnetized just hundreds of recent college graduates, allies in the education system, donors and others, and took off with a great deal of momentum. So I had my head down and was just fully focused on my own and on building America into a force for change in the face of all these inequities. When something happened in the rest of the world, there was just something in the water. And within a year, I had met 13 people. This is maybe more than 15 years ago now, 16, 17 years ago, who in different countries who were just determined that something similar needed to happen in their countries. And that led to the launch of Teach for All as a network of now 60 independent, locally led organizations like Teach for Uganda that have made this idea their own. And what I've seen I'm so grateful to the early pioneers and really all the valiant social entrepreneurs and teachers like yourselves who've brought Teach for All to life as a global movement, because it feels like we've just moved so much faster once this idea kind of took off across the world. And I've just personally been just amazed, first of all, by just the hearts, minds, and souls who are drawn to this work in every country in which this has cropped up, and the impact that they've had in their schools and communities, the impact this experience has had on them, and what they've gone on to do to affect the systemic changes that are necessary in their countries. And at the same time, I've just been amazed by how much faster all these incredibly talented, committed, locally rooted leaders can be when we're learning from each other across borders. So it's seeing all that just gives me a huge sense of possibility about and optimism about the impact that we can have over the years that are coming ahead. So with that in mind, three quick words of, I guess, wisdom. But I think this is what I would say. Number one, I hope you will settle in and just embrace the learning journey that this work is. You've probably heard from many, I mean, these 2 years have the potential to be some of the more challenging that you will ever undertake. But I hope you'll just remember that, first of all, your kids and communities really are better off with you than without you, no matter how much you think you're challenged by the experience. And also you yourself will learn so much. And despite the day-to-day challenges, will come out knowing yourself better, knowing your country more deeply. Those 2 years will prove to be a beautiful investment in your own leadership trajectory and in the trajectories of your kids and their families and the communities in which you work. So that's one thought. Just settle in and embrace the journey, no matter what comes. I think my second thought is to just lean in to each other for support. If I've learned anything, probably the biggest revelation in all of these years for me has been how important it is that we kind of lead collectively, like to tackle such complex systemic challenges requires a lot of leadership, and no one person is going to solve this problem alone. So just has taught me that we're really only as strong as our relationships. Whenever things get tough, someone else has a shoulder and a thought that will help get us through. So I would just say, build relationships with each other and with other allies in your schools and communities. There are so many assets, around you, and just reach out for help and know that those relationships will also last a lifetime, and what you can do together over many years will be so much more powerful and significant than what you do on your own. And then maybe the third thought is just that I hope you will hold on to your sense of possibility. I have seen that this is a very long game. I mean, again, the challenges we're undertaking as a global movement are so deeply entrenched, and they've lasted for decades, and it will take a long time to change the systems around us that perpetuate these inequities. But I've also seen so much evidence that with enough leadership, we can solve any problem. And I could keep you here all day, which I won't do, but I've had this incredible privilege of spending time in communities, some in our country here, where we've been placing a steady stream of people for more than 30 years. And I've seen over time how much their leadership, because they commit 2 years and many never leave their communities and this work, and they end up really leading at every level of the system and around the whole ecosystem around kids. And I've seen how much their leadership has done to catalyze leadership in others and move the whole system. And I've now seen that all over the world. I mean, really in every region of the world, I've seen these same systemic effects. And so I have a lot of optimism as I look out at you virtually, and having had the chance to meet the cohorts who have come before, that together over time, you will make a really meaningful difference in your country and in the outcomes of future generations of kids. And it's hard to imagine a more important and meaningful impact. And I'll just close by saying, there's a vision that we co-created as a network, maybe 8 or 9 or 10 years ago, which was, we set out to create a 25-year vision. We said that by 25 years from now, we will have whole communities in every part of the world that are showing people what's possible, showing that all kids can have the education, support, and opportunity to shape a better future for themselves and for all of us. And I know that one of those communities, or more than one, will be there in Uganda. And I so look forward to working and learning with and alongside you as you work together with the cohorts who've come before, with your, again, allies at every level of the system there in your country, and hopefully alongside all of us across our global community as well, in pursuit of that really important vision. So with that, I just wish you good luck. And again, congratulations on making this choice, which I think you'll end up valuing for the rest of your life. So thank you and good luck.